Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to One Piece, episode 1028. And this is, I'm just going to say right off the bat, the final One Piece episode on the channel for a few weeks because I stated this in another video, but basically the next few episodes are going to be tie-in episodes for One Piece Film Red and will not be part of Wano. Like 3 episodes are going to be dedicated to, I guess, the history of Luffy and Uta and stuff. And because of that, it's going to tie in specifically with the film. So the reason we're not getting to it yet is because I'm going to do those episodes when I'm able to get to the film as well. Once I'm able to react to the movie, I'm going to dedicate an entire week to it, where I'm going to do the 3 episodes that tie into the film. I'm going to do the film itself, and probably 2 other things during that week as well. Or 1 or 2 other things, I don't know. We're basically going to do a One Piece week, like we had done in the past when we were catching up to the series still. But because of that, we are going to be skipping these episodes for the time being. So after this, it's like the next episode you're going to see is like 1032. So just letting you all know that ahead of time. But that being said, we do still have 1 more episode to get to before that happens. Excuse me. Haven't been awake for long. So, we still have Roof Piece going on. We still have all these battles going on. Not much changed with the last episode, just a lot more of the action. Big Mom was thrown off of Onigashima but got rescued by Prometheus. Zeus was not able to escape Kid's clutches. And we can see that Law's crew is... Male person's here. We can see that the Heart Pirates are still watching and still prepared to take action if and when necessary and possible. Sorry about the dog. She'll shut up in a minute here. But yeah. So the Heart Pirates are getting ready to take action if they can and need to. We'd see all this stuff still going on. Who knows what's going to happen next? There's still quite a few fights we need to catch back up on. And I don't know exactly when we're going to start to do so. There's a lot going on, as always. But because this is the final episode before, again, taking a little break from Wano, I'm hoping that it's going to be a really good one. I'm hoping that at least they timed it out so that something big or good happens here. So that even if it's only for a few weeks, it leaves off on a good enough cliffhanger to get us excited for what's to come. But who knows? We shall see. So, all of that being said, we're just going to get this started and hope for the best. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, since we have a few weeks now that we're going to be going into those, tie-in episodes, I was wondering, how is this going to leave off? How is this going to leave off in a satisfying way that feels like it's a good enough cliffhanger, that feels like it really raised the bar, and gives us enough to chew on but enough to be prepared for when it comes back. And fuck, did it deliver. Wow. I mean, outside of just the stellar animation moment at the end there, outside of just that entire ending portion in general, which I'll get into, like, this episode really, like, kind of put it into the next stage. Because the plan to separate Big Mom from Kaido is in action completely. Kid has upset Big Mom enough, not just by launching her off of Onigashima into the sea, but by, capturing Prometheus and Zeus originally, and then, even though Prometheus escaped, Zeus didn't, and she's very angry about that, so she's going entirely after Kid. She and Kaido have been separated completely. So we see her attack them and launch them into the building using her new homie, who we don't actually get to see completely. We get to see a glimpse of the mouth and everything. We don't really get all the info. But she creates a new homie from her soul out of a thundercloud as a replacement for Zeus. And this new homie is a girlfriend to Prometheus, I guess. And it was brought up in the comments last time. It's like, if these homies are made out of Big Mom's soul, wouldn't Prometheus and this new female Storm homie kind of be like siblings in a way? And it's like, I don't really think it entirely works like that. Like, I get the idea, like, because they're both made from the same source. They're both brought to life and given life through Big Mom's soul. But I don't think that just automatically makes them, like, siblings in that kind of way. I don't think that any of the homies are really what you would call siblings. And this isn't the first time we've even seen, like, the kind of thing with a romance between homies. Remember in Whole Cake Island, King Bomb and Lady Tree? Like, even though not much came from that, because King Bomb very much died, we saw that King Bomb and Lady Tree had a legitimate romance going on. That there was a relationship there. So it's not the first time we've seen homies in love. And mind you, we don't know whose souls were used to create King Bomb and Lady Tree. But I just don't think that's quite how homies work. I don't think that they're related in that way, because they don't have any kind of, like, DNA or anything like that. I think all homies are just kind of their own beings that are separate in their own lives from each other. And the only thing that really connects them is the fact that they all serve under Big Mom and her family. In the case of Napoleon, Prometheus, and Zeus, and now the new one, they all serve directly, specifically under Big Mom because of being created by her soul. That's the really only connective factor I see. I've never viewed them as being siblings at all. Like, I've never viewed, like, Prometheus and Zeus as being brothers, for example. They never came across that way to me. In their interactions or just in general. But yeah, either way, Big Mom even, like, acknowledged the idea of creating the new one as a girlfriend for Prometheus. So, no matter what, that's kind of how it's being viewed. So, we don't see her yet, but I assume we will probably when we come back. Maybe, who knows? But Big Mom is now inside Onigashima trying to hunt down Kid. Kid and Kaido, meanwhile, are continuing on when they're stopped by Basil Hawkins, who is still around, surprisingly. They're both about to fight, but Kid is told to continue on by Killer. Killer chooses to take on Hawkins himself, and Kid heads out to, continue to keep Big Mom away from Kaido. Hawkins, we find out, continue to find out and continue to see, is a defeatist. He is someone who does not believe he's strong enough to handle certain enemies, and even multiple enemies at once. He notes here that he did not believe he would be able to win if he fought both Kid and Killer at the same time. And that might even be true, but as Kid had noted, it's like, that's a very defeatist attitude that is honestly very cowardly and not really respectable at all. He shows that he's unwilling to even try. And we know that Hawkins kind of leaves everything up to the ideas of fate and how much of a percentage of a chance you have at winning and stuff. He's very much a... how do I put it? He thinks things out a little too much. To where he just... It hinders his overall ability, it hinders his overall skill, and his chances of winning. And that's why I think Killer is definitely going to beat him here. Because Hawkins is just... he's too analytical. And Killer's going to take advantage of that, I feel. But we also catch up with one other group of people. Nami, Usopp, and Tama. They're continuing to head to where they need to go to, continue their plan of taking over using the Kibidango, when Page One comes out of nowhere and starts chasing them down again. We even see him go into his half-point form, but they manage to crash through even with him hanging on, even with Usopp and Nami working together to fight him. And they crash through, and that's kind of all we get from that for the moment. It's just another glimpse of like, oh yeah, this is still happening. In case you were wondering. But obviously, the big portion of this episode came at the end. While a lot of the meat of this episode did focus on Kid and everything, the ending really made this episode. Because Luffy ascended. This, again, as I said, I was wondering how this was going to end off leading into our break. Again, we're taking a break for a few weeks. We're not going to watch the Film Red tie-in episodes until we can watch the movie as well. So I was wondering how it would leave off, and even so, even if we were watching it right away, how it would leave off on the Wano stuff in the first place, while the series kind of diverges for a few weeks. And so I don't know where this is going exactly, so I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know what they were like coming up towards or whatnot. But once it was made clear, it was pretty obvious this was about to go hard to close off. Luffy is just recovering from being knocked down again and everything, and he's starting to realize that the power he was showing was not enough, that he has to go beyond that. He starts remembering everything he had been taught about Ryo Haki, starts remembering all the defeats he had to major villains before, and it's making him realize that he can't just fight strong, he has to fight smart. He has to take into account everything in order to defeat his opponent here. Kaido is obviously the strongest opponent he's faced so far. Even though, once he defeats Kaido, Magellan will be the only opponent he never actually defeated. The only major enemy he took on that he never actually defeated. I guess unless you count Akainu, but he didn't really fight him that much, to be fair. He never fought the admirals too much, but I guess you would count them as well if you want to. But he, really fought against Magellan, and he never defeated him. But either way, Kaido is definitely stronger than Magellan. Magellan has one of the most OP devil fruits for sure, but I still say Kaido is stronger. Either way, Luffy figures out that Kaido had been doing something that he hadn't even really considered. He found out that Kaido has been infusing his weapon, his body, with the color of the Supreme King, also known as Conqueror's Haki. That he has been utilizing that in a different way, sort of how you would infuse the color of arms into yourself or a weapon. It's the same kind of principle. And so Luffy is like, that's what you're doing, right? And Kaido's like, it doesn't fucking matter. Basically confirming it, but saying that he doesn't believe it's going to help Luffy even knowing that. But he does kind of confirm it with his wording. and so Luffy, thinking about everything about Ryo Haki and what the intent of it is, being able to fight your opponents without even technically landing a physical hit on them, as well as the idea of like enveloping yourself with the color of the Supreme King and everything, he figures out how to master Ryo Haki finally, and completely turns the tide of the battle. We see him completely, at least as of this moment, catch Kaido off guard and wipe the floor with him in this specific exchange. By infusing himself with the color of the Supreme King, he's able to knock down Kaido and beat the ever-loving shit out of him without landing a single physical hit. He does not touch him once. But he still takes him down, just basically using the full extent of his haki. At least as of now, what we know is the full extent. Because obviously there's probably more to it even than we know currently. Considering Shanks is like the strongest character in this series, and he doesn't have a devil fruit, so he kind of relies on haki a lot more. Probably, I would wager to say Shanks is the strongest haki user without question in this series. And I would say that it's not even close. If I had to guess, I would say that his mastery of haki is probably so far above everyone else's that it's insane. That he could probably take down almost anyone with ease, which is why he stopped Marineford just by arriving. The battle of the War of the Best at Marineford. It's like he just appeared and it's like, oh, war's over. So it's like he's got to be exceptionally strong, which again, it's something we've always known, but definitely makes me interested to see if he's going to actually like really fight in Film Red. And if not, it's going to make me excited to see when he does fight once that comes up in the series. Like, really fight. But either way, we see as the animation takes a major uptick in these last moments of the episode, as Luffy just goes all out, utilizing his abilities combined with the full power of Ryo Haki after enveloping himself with the color of the Supreme King. It's an insane combination that elevates him to a whole new level and completely changes the dynamic of this fight. And by no means is it over. Oh, excuse me. I felt that coming, and that did not give me a lot of warning, but I did feel it coming. But yeah, it completely turns the tide of this battle. And it's far from over. There's obviously going to be plenty more to go with the fight against Kaido. But at the same time, it's pretty clear, I feel, that this is going to take a huge turn now. That it's not going to be as one-sided. Because let's be honest, outside of just surprising Kaido with the red rock, Luffy really hasn't been doing a lot to him. Kaido has still had the overall advantage. Zoro's attacks, slicing him open and all, didn't do enough. No one's attacks have done enough to really change the tide of the overall battle. But this is where that changes. And again, Kaido's probably still going to have moments where he beats the shit out of Luffy and goes ham and everything. It's by no means completely shifted to Luffy having the full advantage. No. He's just turned the tables enough for now. To where when things do really start to get bad again, he'll have to elevate once more. And that seems to be a big theme in this battle. Luffy has to keep going beyond. He has to keep raising the bar and keep increasing his skills and his knowledge of how to take down an enemy like this as it goes along. It's not just like, oh, I learn once and then I'm able to take him out. No, he has to keep learning as he's fighting. Because an enemy this powerful, he's able to withstand him enough, but he needs to be able to defeat him, and to do so, he has to keep fighting. It's one of those situations where the almost repetitive nature of it is integral to its quality. The reason this fight is so good is partially because of how repetitive it is. I know that to some people that might sound incomprehensible, but think about it. With an enemy like this, who is just naturally stronger than Luffy, Luffy has to be able to basically learn and grow as the battle's going on. You can't expect him to be strong enough to defeat him before the battle. So Luffy has to grow as the battle's happening. And the only way to do that is for him to, study his opponent while they're fighting, to continuously learn as the battle goes along. And yeah, it comes off as repetitive. He learns a bit, has this big moment of growth, but then Kaido continues to fight and continues to show his power, and Luffy has to learn something new once again, and it just keeps going in that cycle. It seems repetitive, and it is, but it's a good kind of repetitive to where it makes sense for the battle. Honestly, if they didn't do it, if Luffy just learned once and just kind of was able to completely turn the tide of the fight at that, it would feel unrealistic. Especially for Luffy's character. Because Luffy is by no means overpowered. He's one of those main characters who you can really say isn't within the world that he operates in. You have all these main characters of all these shows who are OP just because they're the main character. But then you have Luffy who does lose. And we see in this episode, it showed the flashbacks of all those times he lost. And we see that throughout the series that he's not unstoppable. Luffy is strong and he keeps growing stronger, but he's not perfect. He's not an unbeatable hero. So having him, take out Kaido easily or, learn once and then be able to turn the entire tide of the battle would not work for his character. It would feel so out of place in how easy it would be for him to do it that way. Oda's smart, and Oda would know this, so he's able to make it so that Luffy has to keep learning as the battle is going on. That he has to keep changing his strategy and figuring things out in order to take on someone like Kaido. And this is going to keep happening. We saw this happen with Doflamingo as well. And it's going to keep going on as we continue, because we're entering the final saga. Who knows how many arcs specifically that's going to be? One of them's got to be Elbaf, because we definitely still got to visit that. But we still have quite a few enemies. We still have the Marines. We still have Blackbeard. If you want to count Shanks as an enemy, you can. I guess you would count Buggy. He's still in there because he's still rising the ranks inexplicably. For some reason, because the Marines, I guess, just keep giving him things just because he's connected to Roger, and he keeps blundering his way into just everything. I still don't know how that's going on, but whatever. So you gotta realize there's all these different enemies, all these different groups out there, all these different antagonists that Luffy still has to take on, and there's only one saga left, so it's like Luffy's gonna have to do a lot of learning very quickly in order to improve enough to be able to, you know, stand a chance, especially since we do already know from what Oda has said that there is a war coming, a second war that's going to be so much bigger than the War of the Best at Marineford that it's going to make it look like nothing by comparison. That the War of the Best is going to look like child's play compared to what's coming. And so it's like Luffy's going to be doing a lot of this. So having this shown here against Kaido, it makes sense. It works. But yeah, just the hype moments of this episode by the end here, with the music playing, starting off with We Go and going into We Are and everything. It's like they know how to hype us up. The people working on the anime with the phenomenal animation, the music, just everything. The voice acting, obviously. It's like, I've said it before, gonna say it again, I don't give a shit. This is why I truly believe animation as a medium is better than manga. In all senses. And I know that's an unpopular opinion, I know that's going to continue to be one, but I continue to stand firm by it. I fully believe that no matter what, animation is always better than its manga counterpart. Because of the stuff like the visuals, the voice acting, the soundtrack. Even if you would want to say that the anime doesn't handle the story all too well, the visual and auditory additions to the medium add so much life to everything going on that it's not even comparable. You can enjoy a manga as well as you want. I personally don't. I don't find enjoyment in manga, but if you do, that's perfectly fine. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying, for me personally, this is why I find anime to be superior at all times. This is why I don't enjoy manga, because it doesn't have that. It's like, at least my mind doesn't work in a way that can make me read a manga and imagine that. Like, I can imagine, like, if it's a manga based, okay, let's say I went to read the One Piece manga. I know what Luffy sounds like in the anime and everything, and the other characters. So if I'm reading what they're saying in the manga, I could probably hear the voices, right? I could probably even hear some of the sound effects, knowing like what Luffy's stretching sounds like. But it wouldn't quite be the same, because you wouldn't have the soundtrack, you wouldn't know exactly how Luffy and the others are saying certain lines, how they're speaking them, how they're emphasizing certain words. You wouldn't quite catch the life of that performance, because there is no performance to the manga. I can deal with having no color, but the visuals are flat. Even with the best paneling, even with the best art, and Oda's art is fantastic. I would never deny that. But even with the best art and the best paneling, it's not going to hold the same power, the same oomph, the same level of excitement as seeing the motion in action. It's never going to be as exciting. Like, even the best moments of the series aren't going to hold the same level of excitement. The reason why Robin's I Want to Live was so powerful was because of the voice performance. The vocal performance by the voice actress is what made that moment so powerful, not just the writing. The reason why the Roger was laughing moment was so exceptional was because of the song playing during it. The song that played during that scene was so fucking great. So fucking fitting. Along with Odin's VA narrating it. It was perfection because of the visuals and the auditory levels. The audio-visual content is what made those scenes. Luffy crying over Ace's death. The funeral for Going Merry. All these amazing moments in the series are only as amazing as they are, in my opinion, because of how they're animated, how they're voice acted, the music that plays during them, etc., etc. And again, it may be an unpopular opinion, and the writing is phenomenal. I'm not trying to belittle or even minimize Oda's writing in this case. The writing is still a factor. But again, the medium of anime elevates all of this to a level that, I'm sorry, the manga just can't capture for me. And again, that's for me. If you like the manga, if you prefer the manga, that's fine. But this is my reaction, this is my afterthoughts. I'm allowed to share my thoughts too. This is my opinion. It's just, the anime is just that damn good for me. Like, if I were to give an anime like a 100 out of 100, I could only give the manga a 50 at best. That's how separate they are in quality for me. And I've read the manga up until the end of Alabasta, and then like maybe a few panels and stuff after that. Well, actually, I know a few panels and stuff after that, because there's also been other parts from other arcs that I've just read, like, kind of separately from the whole. But I've read the actual manga, like, continuously from the beginning to Alabasta, and then, again, parts of it here and there randomly from afterwards. And none of it stands up. I've read some of these amazing moments in the manga. Robin's I Want to Live, for example, does nothing for me with the manga. Does not make me even get emotional. I watch it in the anime, I'm crying before she even says it. Every time. And it's something I can't even control. I've tried to not cry watching it. I've tried to hold back. I could not stop it from happening. And when reading the manga, when reading that in the manga, I've tried to get emotional. I've tried to hear her voice in my head. It didn't work. It didn't work. It didn't make me cry. It didn't make me even get that emotional at all. I was just sitting there like dry-eyed and kind of bored. And again, that's just me. It's just me. But either way, like I said, we now will be taking a few weeks off while these special episodes go. Um, Once we're able to get to film Red, we're going to get to it as quickly as I can. I believe it just came out in like theaters in Japan, so it's probably going to be a bit till it comes out on like digital or whatnot. But once I am available, or once it is available for me to watch, I will be getting to it and I will get to those other episodes. But otherwise, we have a few weeks off now. We have like 3 weeks where it's just going to show these tie-in episodes. And so, as I've stated before, we're not going to really replace One Piece with anything because it's just a couple weeks. It's not enough time to bring anything else in. So for this period of time, we're just not going to have really anything on Mondays unless I put up like a movie or some other video like that. No special videos for Mondays from here on out. Or no reaction. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. Nothing is replacing One Piece. It's just on hold for a few weeks. But yeah, once we get back into it though, once Wano returns, we'll just once again go full force into it and have a blast with that. For the time being though, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode of Wano, the final episode of Wano for the time being, for a few weeks. And let me know what your thoughts are going into Film Red even. Obviously, I've been avoiding pretty much everything I can. I saw, like, the first trailer, which was, like, a teaser. And I know a little tiny bit about, like, Uta. But that's it. I know the basic premise of at least part of the movie. But yeah, I don't know any details or anything about the film. And I want it to remain so. But tell me your thoughts going into it. Your thoughts about Shanks having an important role and about Uta and everything. And yeah, hopefully once we come back, it's still going to kick off really strongly again. And Wano just keeps going full force. Either way, thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.